Om Tvameva Mata Cha Pita Tvameva Bandhuscha Saka Tvameva Vidya Dravinam Tvameva Sarvam Mama Deva Deva Sri Dakshinamurti Sudeshikendram Dvaipayanam Sutrakratam Munindram Sri Shankaram Bhashyakritam Yatindram Maddeshi Kanchapi Namami Vidyai Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartribhyo Vamsarishibhyo Mahatbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Sarvopaplavarahita Prajnana Ganaha Pratyagarto Brahmaivahamasmi Om Prapannaparijataya Totra Vetraikapanaye Jnana Mudraya Krishnaya Gita Mrtaduhe Namaha. Pranams everyone. Happy 2025 to all of you. We stopped last year in chapter 3, Sloka number 23, and then we had some 2 open house sessions. The recordings are with me and I have loaded on YouTube, but I had made the links private. Later on I'll put a message in the group asking whether people, are you okay in making this link public, or at least share the link in the group itself. You can respond it once I put the message on the group. In the meantime, now that we have actually we had taken a break, and there could be some more questions, follow-up questions or follow-up discussions that we want to do, we will do it at a slightly later, maybe after the 3rd chapter is complete. We will have another open house session wherein probably what we can do is, instead of actually only discussing the experience of people, we can let people give their understanding of what they had learnt so far from Bhagavad Gita. So far in the first 3 chapters, what has been their understanding and what their takeaways have been. So with that, we will probably have it at the end of the 3rd chapter. So right now, we are in Sloka 23 of 3rd chapter. That's where we had stopped last year. But because there had been a sort of a long gap, I'll just quickly give a summary of the 3rd chapter so far. So the 3rd chapter started with Arjuna's question to Bhagavan. Arjuna had asked, if jnana and karma are the 2 options, and jnana is the one that gives moksha, why are you not asking me to take to jnana? Instead, you are asking me to take up karma. That was Arjuna's question. So Bhagavan did not give a straightforward answer, so he gave the answer between Slokas 3 and 7. And Bhagavan said basically, Lokesmin Dvivida Nishta Pura Prokta Maya Naga. He said, I had established 2 sadhanas and 2 lifestyles, Arjuna, for this world. The 2 lifestyles are Pravritti and Nivritti Marga, or in other words, Grihastha and Sannyasa Ashrama. And I have also established 2 sadhanas which are Karma Yoga and Jnana Yoga. And in this, the lifestyles do not matter at all. What matters are the sadhanas. So there is no choice on the sadhanas. This was Bhagavan's answer. Only the sadhanas determine moksha. Then Arjuna's question could be, then if that is the case, then why can't I do Jnana Yoga sadhana? Why should I do Karma Yoga sadhana? So Bhagavan wanted to establish that without performing Karma Yoga, one cannot come to Jnana Yoga. So that was what he did. So in between Slokas 4, in Sloka 4, Bhagavan said basically, just by avoiding action, one cannot attain renunciation, one cannot attain moksha. Just by renouncing actions, one cannot attain moksha. In Sloka 5, he said, in fact, nobody can remain without doing any action. That is not possible at all. Being actionless is not possible. And then in Sloka 6, he said, if in case somebody tries to renounce karma without having that mental maturity, then it will create issues for both him as well as the society. He will turn out to be a hypocrite. So this was between Sloka until Sloka 6. Then Sloka 8 onwards, Bhagavan, until Sloka 16, Bhagavan had given Karma Yoga as the topic, that he took Karma Yoga as the topic. What is Karma Yoga? Bhagavan defined here. And the Sloka 8, Niyatam Kuru Karmatvam, Bhagavan said, performing your duties is Karma Yoga. Duties meaning all the actions that have been, that is our responsibility. That we have to do without any likes or dislikes. That is Karma Yoga. Sloka 9, he talked about the attitude that one must have when performing these actions. And the attitude that one must have is Ishvara Arpana. Yajnartat karmano anyatra. In that, Yajnartat means for the sake of Ishvara. So one should have a Ishvara Arpana Buddhi when performing all actions, especially our duties. Then Bhagavan talked about Karma Yoga being a Yajna based life. Saha Yajna Praja Śiṣṭa. An Yajna based life is Karma Yoga, and which means we talked about the Panchamaha Yajnas, Deva Yajna, Pitru Yajna, Brahma Yajna, Manushya Yajna and Bhuta Yajna. Those 5 Yajnas are considered to be Karma Yoga. These are mandatory Yajnas that one must do on a daily basis. Then in Sloka 11, Devan Bhavayata Nena, Te Deva Bhavayantu Vaha, Bhagavan talked about Dharmo Rakshati Rakshitaha. Karma Yoga is about living a life of Dharma. If we protect nature, nature will protect us. If we help someone, somebody else will help us. So likewise, we'll have to help Devas and the Devas will help us. This is Karma Yoga. Then later in Sloka 14, Bhagavan talked about Karma Yoga being Jagat Chakra Hetu. It is the Karma Yoga is necessary for the cosmic cycle to be in balance. Karma Yoga is a necessary action that people must perform for the world to be in balance. If the world has to function properly, it can happen only through Karma Yoga, where we talked about the body needing the food needs the rains need punyam and all those things. Then in Sloka 17 and 18, Bhagavan talked about Moksha Swarupa. This is actually a Jnana Yoga topic, but Bhagavan brings it here for a reason. And here Bhagavan talks about what is moksha. Remember in chapter 2 in Sthita Prajna Lakshana, we had already talked about moksha Lakshana there, where Bhagavan had talked about Atmanyeva Atmana Tushtaha as Sthita Prajna Lakshana. Now here Bhagavan gives the same thing almost. In Sloka 17 he says Atmaratihi Atmatriptaha Atmanyeva Santushtaha as the Lakshanas of a Jnani. Atmaratihi means he revels in himself. Atmatriptaha means he is contented in oneself. Atmanyeva Santushtaha means he feels fulfilled. And for such a person, Tasya Karyam na Vidyate. He does not have any responsibilities. That is Moksha Lakshana here. And Sloka 18 also, Bhagavan gave the Lakshana of Moksha. He said, Naiva tasya krite nartaha na krite neha kashchana. A Jnani, a person who has attained Moksha, does not have this feeling of this must be done. this must happen in certain manner, this should not have happen in my life, that kind of feeling will not be there in his mind. So a person who has attained this condition, he has attained moksha or mukti. So why does Bhagavan bring this here? The reason is until we get this mindset, until we get the mindset of Atmanatiha, Atmatriptaha, Atmasantushtaha, Naivatasya Kritenartaha, Na Kritenaha Kashana, until we get that mindset, we should be involved in actions. We cannot avoid actions. We should continue to perform Karma Yoga. That is the reason why Bhagavan brought these two slokas here. Then Bhagavan concluded Karma Yoga in Sloka 19, where he said, Tasmad asakta satatam karyam karma samachara. Always perform action without any attachment. Asaktaha, without any attachment. So he concluded Karma Yoga there. Then from Sloka 20 onwards, which we had started last year, until Sloka 29, Bhagavan is going to talk about the topic of Loka Sangraha. Loka Sangraha means for the sake of welfare of society, well-being of the society, and Śiṣṭa Ācāra. Śiṣṭa Ācāra means way of life of live role models. Śiṣṭa Ācāra. So roles of live role models of the society. So Bhagavan said in 20th Sloka 20, he said, Janaka and others, they have attained liberation, and yet they were continuing to perform actions. They were continuing to perform their duties. So what we have to understand there is, they do not perform actions for the sake of purifying their mind. Karma Yoga is normally done for purifying our mind. Their mind is already purified, but they still continue to do actions because their prarabdha is such that they have to perform, and therefore they are doing. And also they act as role models for the society. So in Sloka 21, Bhagavan says, Yadyad acharati shreshtaha tattad eve taro janaha. Whatever is performed by a superior person is copied by the followers. And so every one of us becomes a role model to the society because somebody is following us. At least our children, or if in the office, our subordinates, our colleagues, we are supposed to be proper role models. And the world will follow us. And then in Sloka 22, Bhagavan says, look Arjuna, I have nothing to do. I have nothing to do in this world, and yet I still remain in action. That is what he had said in Sloka number 22. Now in Sloka 23 and 24, Bhagavan is talking about the doshas of a society if they are not having a proper Śiṣṭa Ācāra. If there is no Śiṣṭa Ācāra, if the Śiṣṭa Ācāra is not followed, then what will be the problem, or what will be the consequences? We will see that in Sloka 23 and 24. So now we will go to Sloka number 23. Shri Bhagavanu Vacha Yadi Hyayam Navarteyam Jatu Karmanya Tandritaha Mama Vartmanu Vartante Manushyav Partha Sarvashah Yadi Hyayam Navarteyam Jatu Karmanya Tandritaha Mama Vartmanu Vartante Manushyav Partha Sarvashah. What will happen if there are no Śiṣṭa Ācāra? What will be the consequences if there are no people following Dharma? That is what is being discussed here. Some people here have this opinion that there is nobody in this world who follows Dharma in this world. everybody is adharmic. That is because they might have seen such people and they have concluded that. But it is not like that. There are dharmic people. And there are people who are also doing adharma also. How can we see these dharmic people? If we continue to perform dharmic actions in our lives, we will automatically be driven towards the other dharmic people. The world will take us to them, and we will also meet other dharmic people on our own automatically. So here Bhagavan gives the consequence if there are no Śiṣṭa Ācāra. Say if all the matured or all the dharmic people have gone to Himalayas, and everybody here in the society are following adharma, or not a single person is there following dharma, what will happen? What will happen if the elders become irresponsible? What will happen if people in position misuse their authority? What will happen if people in position misbehave? What will be the consequences? The entire society wants to follow the role models. Every one of us, when we are growing up or even when we are adults, we always look for role models. But if there are no healthy role models available in the society, then what happens? Typically, the cinema actors, actresses, politicians, sports persons, media celebrities, they become our role models, which is not a healthy sign. So here Bhagavan he is continuing from this last sloka. In the last sloka, Bhagavan had given an example of a Śiṣṭa Ācāra. Who was that example Bhagavan had given? Bhagavan had given himself as an example. So Bhagavan is saying, what happens if he does not do his activities? If he does not do his duties, remember there are no duties for him. But if he does not perform actions, if he is not performing the right action, what will happen? So Bhagavan is saying, if he does not perform, what happens? Yadi hyayam navarteyam jatu karmanya tandritaha. Yadi means if. He I am. He means, hum means aham. He means if, he means because. So if, because aham navarteyam, I do not remain in duties, I do not remain in action. In other words, if I remain in society and I do not do my duties, if I do not lead a life that will be as an example for the society, jatu karmanya tandritaha. Jatu means ever, at all times. At all times, karmani means inaction. If I do not remain in action at all times, that is the explanation for the first line. If I do not remain ever in action at all times, how does Bhagavan remain in action at all times? Atandritaha. Atandritaha means tirelessly. Bhagavan does not say, I am tired, I cannot do this. Atandritaha also means without laziness, without carelessness. In other words, he is very meticulous. He does not get lazy. Now, he is enthusiastically performing all his actions at all times. So Bhagavan says, if I do not perform my actions enthusiastically, without laziness, wholeheartedly, at all times. Remember, Bhagavan is talking about himself here. As Krishna here, he is talking about himself here. And Bhagavan could say to Arjuna, look, Arjuna, I am an Avatara. And the Avatara is even greater than a Jnani. Because at least a Jnani, in the case of Jnani, he was a samsari before. Only in this life he has become a Jnani. But an Avatara is a born Jnani. the difference between Avatara and Jnani, we will see that, or Jnani, Avatara and a normal human being, we'll see in the chapter 4. So Bhagavan could say, Bhagavan, see Arjuna, I'm an Avatara, but still I have become your charioteer. I wash the horses, I wash the chariot, I take care of the horses, I follow my duty that has been assigned as a charioteer. And even as a grihastha, I had followed my duty. I followed Atiti Devo Bhava. When Kuchela came to my house, I did Pada Puja for him because he is teaching scriptures. That is the teaching of the scriptures also. I did not claim that I am Ishvara and therefore I will not touch the feet of Kuchela. I accept the duties that have been assigned to me as prescribed by the Shastras according to their time, role and place. And I accept my duties whether it is painful or pleasant. If I do not do all these things, and if I do not do these things properly at all times, if I am indifferent to all these things around me, what will happen? Bhagavan is giving the consequence in the second line. Mama vartmanu vartante manushya partha sarvashah. Mama vartma, my path, my margah, my path. Anuvartante, my path will be followed. My path will be followed by who? Manushyaha, the people. People will follow my path. They will take me as an example. They will take me as a bad example. And is it just one or two instances they will follow me? Bhagavan says, Sarvashah. Partha Sarvashah. Sarvashah means in every way. Partha means Arjuna. All these people would follow my path in every way. So this is the consequence if there are no Śiṣṭa Ācāra, if there are no proper Śiṣṭa Ācāra. That's why when an elder commits mistake, the young generation wants to take that as an example. And the problem is that person could have done so many good things, but that would not be considered, that would not be taken. They will always claim that particular one instance where the elder did not follow the duty or responsibility properly, and they will only use that as a role model or as a example and take that as an example. So what is the consequence of taking a wrong example? Bhagavan is going to give in the next sloka. In this sloka, Bhagavan is giving two adjectives for karma. Karma means actions. Two adjectives. One, action must be performed jatu. Jatu means ever, always. All actions must be performed. There should not be any action there should not be any omissions. Then second one he gives is atandritaha. Atandritaha means tirelessly, without any laziness. One, we should not do it with grumbling. We should do it what we are supposed to do. Bhagavan is saying, I do action always and without any murmuring, without any grumbling, without saying I am lazy. So we can understand a few things here. One, why does a person fail to do duty? Mostly it happens because of laziness. Although we will not agree that it is because of our laziness, but most of the times it is because of that. What we will do is we will not attribute it to our laziness. We will use our intellect to identify a different reason for that. We could say, for example, it's not urgent now, it is unnecessary now. Or if it involves where some other person is getting benefit out of our duty, it is somebody else's right, then we will say the other person does not deserve it. So in many ways our intellect will cheat us in not performing our duties. So that's why Bhagavan says atandritaha. Tirelessly, without laziness, do your duty. And when can a person drop the duty? When can a person say, I need not do my duty? It can be done only when you have Jnana Balat. Jnana Balat means you have the strength of knowledge. What knowledge? Atma Jnana. Only if the person has attained Jnana, the person can drop his duties or her duties. Until that time, the person must perform actions. And if we drop the actions before that, it will be a big loss for us. And Bhagavan is going to give that in the next Sloka. Here, Bhagavan is reiterating, people follow a role model. Śiṣṭa Ācāra. So it is important. So some people are in such a position that their prarabdha is such that even after getting jnana, they may have to continue to perform actions, and if they are in that position, they will have to perform their duties for the sake of Śiṣṭa Ācāra. At that point of time, we should not call these actions as karma yoga. We call these actions as loka sangraha, for the welfare of society, for the well-being of the society. So initially, and as an Ajnani, we do karma yoga, we attain chitta shuddhi, then we attain jnana. And then once we attain jnana, if we continue to perform our actions, then it becomes loka sangraha. So now, in the next sloka, Bhagavan is, if people perform these actions, misunderstanding Bhagavan's marga, then what would be their loss? Bhagavan is going to say that in the next sloka. So sloka number 24. Utside yurime lokaha na kuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyamimah prajaha. Utside yurime lokaha na kuryam karma chedaham sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyamimah prajaha. What will happen if there are no Śiṣṭa Ācāra in the world? Bhagavan is giving it there. Bhagavan is saying it will destroy the world. People will not get a good gati. Bhagavan basically wants to know that people who are in the position of Śiṣṭa Ācāra, they have greater responsibility. And we already saw who are the people who are in this position. The first and foremost comes the parents. If we are parents of children, then we are Śiṣṭa Ācāra, whether we like it or not. We become Śiṣṭa Ācāra for our children. Then whoever is teaching, gurus, sannyasis, they must lead a life of Dharma. They need to set an example through their lifestyle. And Bhagavan is using up a lot of slokas in this, for this particular topic, because he knows that society's framework is determined by elders. The society, how does the society progress, is determined by the elders of the society. They drive what should be the priorities for the next generation. So let us go into the sloka. Utside yurime lokaha. Ime lokaha. Ime lokaha means in these worlds. Utsideyuhu. Utsideyuhu means would perish. Vinashyeyuhu means people in these worlds will perish. In all these worlds they would perish. When will they perish? Na kuryam karma chedaham. Na kuryam. Ched aham. Aham na kuryam. Aham na kuryam means I do not perform. Chet. If. Chet means if. If aham na kuryam. If I do not perform karma, action, if I do not perform karma, actions, so Bhagavan says, if I do not perform my actions, these worlds will perish. If I do not perform my duties and set an example for this society, then these worlds will perish. Now, how will the worlds perish if Bhagavan does not perform his duties? What is the relation? Now, here we are not talking about Krishna the charioteer, we are talking about Bhagavan. Bhagavan as the principal Bhagavan. Now, we had seen earlier some slokas like Annad Bhavanti Bhutani. We saw that. In the Karma Yoga being Jagat Chakra Hetuhu. That Karma Yoga lifestyle is the cause for the cosmic cycle to function. So for the world to function properly, every being must perform its duties. And if Bhagavan does not perform his duties, then people will take Bhagavan as an example and they will also not perform their actions or responsibilities. Then, which means the Jagat Chakra will not function and it will result in Nasha. If people do not perform their duties, there will be no Punya and they will not get Chitta Shuddhi. Which means, because they do not get any Punya, they will not go to a good Loka. Remember, Punya is needed for both for Chitta Shuddhi as well as for us to get a good Gati after death. The next Loka has to be a good Loka, the next body has to be a good body. For that, Punya is essential. So, firstly, if they see that Bhagavan is not performing his duties, then they will follow Bhagavan and they too will not do what they are supposed to perform. And if everyone do not perform the duties that are assigned to them, but because one cannot remain without doing any action. Remember the Sloka earlier. Sloka 5, I think. One cannot remain performing any action, and at the same time this person is not doing their actions that are his responsibility, or actions that are assigned to this person. What will happen? This person will end up doing something else. Reason being, the mind and body cannot be kept quiet. So they will end up doing some Nishiddha karma or Papa karma, and they will incur sin. And because of that, as a Gati, they may end up in Narakaloka, which means they will not benefit from the human birth. Remember, human birth is very precious, and they will not make the most of it. They will not benefit from it. So when will this happen? Utside yurime lokaha na kuryam karma chedaham. People in this world will perish if I do not perform action. Then, in the second line, Bhagavan is giving another dosha, another problem. Sankarasya cha kartasyam upahanyam imah prajaha. Sankarasya cha kartasyam. Syam karta. Syam karta means I will be the creator. Karta means creator. Or I will be the cause. Karta is also cause. I will be the cause for what? Sankarasya. Sankarasya means confusion. I will be the cause for confusion. Cha. Cha means and. Sankarasya. Remember, Sankarasya means confusion. Shankarasya means Mangalam. Sa Sha. Sankarasya chakartasyam. So I will be the cause for confusion. What sort of confusion? Confusion with regard to their duties. So they will not perform their swadharma, they will take paradharma, or they will do nishiddha karma, thereby resulting in varna samkaraha and ashrama samkaraha. So people who have the responsibilities for householder will do sannyasi job, sannyasi will do ashrama householder job. Those kind of samkaraha, confusion and commotion will happen. And not only that, upahanyam imah prajaha. Upahanya means I will be destroying. Who will he be destroying? Bhagavan? Prajaha. These people. I will be responsible for destroying these people. I will be responsible for destroying these people. Remember, Bhagavan is not destroying these people, because already Bhagavan said, Aham atandritaha jatu varteyam karmani. I am tirelessly ever remaining in action. That already Bhagavan had given that assurance. So Bhagavan here is saying, if I do not perform my actions properly, then I will be responsible for destroying these people. And therefore Bhagavan says to Arjuna, please do your duties. So in these two slokas, Bhagavan is giving the responsibility of a Śiṣṭa Ācāraḥ. What happens? Just as one blind follows the other blind, people also follow their role models blindly. If we happen to be in a responsible position, then we have a responsibility beyond the scope of profession. Sometimes depends on the responsibility that we have taken. For example, a teacher or a policeman or those kind of people, or a politician, their responsibility or their scope of profession extends beyond the scope of profession. They are watched 24/7. They have to be the role models 24/7. So one mother's responsibility is 24/7. Father's responsibility is 24/7, because you are being watched 24/7. Now Bhagavan is going to continue to talk about this in the next sloka. Sloka number 25. Saktah karmanya vidvamsah yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tata saktah chikirshur loka sangraham. Saktah karmanya vidvamsah yatha kurvanti bharata kuryad vidvams tata saktah chikirshur loka sangraham. So here, sloka 25 and 26, Bhagavan is advising Jnanis. Jnanis and the Śiṣṭa Ācāra, he is saying, whoever is in a responsible position, he is advising them, especially the Jnanis. And what is the Jnanis? What is the advice that he is giving to Jnanis? He says, just as an Ajnani is performing an action, a Jnani must also perform action. So, on an action wise, do not drop your actions, continue to perform your actions. There is, however, a difference. An Ajnani, an ignorant person, does the action out of attachment. He has an attachment towards the action or towards the result of the action. He wants to get out of this action, and therefore he performs it. Whereas a Jnanis perform action without any attachment. That is the essence of this sloka. So an Ajnani has an attachment either on the karma or the karma pala. A Jnani likes the action and therefore he performs that action. Or he wants a result of the action and therefore he performs the action. A Jnani should also perform the same action but without any attachment. So there is a subtle message here. What is the subtle message here is, what does Vedanta teach us? Vedanta says, or Vedanta does not ask us to sacrifice or give up action. Vedanta does not say you have to remain actionless. No. It asks us to sacrifice the reaction from the action. Not getting caught in the effects of the action. The stress, the anxiety, the expectation, those are the reactions from the action. Now we have to sacrifice them. We have to ensure that we do not fall into the trap of that. So each one of us, we go through various situations, and each one of our prarabdha is different. Our prarabdha will decide what sort of situation we will be in, what sort of people we will meet, what sort of action we may have to do. It's all defined by our prarabdha. Prarabdha gives us the situation, but the way we react to these situations, it does not depend on our prarabdha. It is on our free will. We have to understand this clearly. So if somebody else is in a nice position than ours, then we have to accept that it is their prarabdha and this is our prarabdha. We cannot be comparing with one another. That's one thing. The second thing, of course, because I am in this position, this is the way I have to react. It does not depend on our prarabdha, it depends on our free will. Of course, the way we react also depends on our vasanas and our samskaras. Whatever we have as impressions in our mind will decide the way we react. But it is still in our free will. It is not predefined. So we have to understand this. The response is our purushartha. Purushartha means free will here. So what does Vedanta do? Vedanta teaches us the way to react to every situation. It says, or it gives us the knowledge and attitude that one must have when performing or doing an action. So it just teaches the attitude that one must have. It does not talk about action, it does talk about the attitude that one must have. So here, in this case, Bhagavan is saying, let Ajnani perform actions. Let Jnani also perform actions. We are talking about duties. Let both of them perform duties. But a Jnani will not get impacted. An Ajnani might get papa or punya based on the action that he performs, because he has got an attachment towards the action or the result of the action that will result in a papa or punya. Whereas for a Jnani, because he does not have any attachment on the action or on the results of the action, he neither gets papa nor gets punya. Remember, the prarabdha could be that both the Jnani as well as the Ajnani have to do these actions. A Jnani also acts under prarabdha, and Ajnani also acts under prarabdha. But there is a difference. A Jnani does not get affected by the prarabdha, and Ajnani gets affected by the prarabdha. A Jnani does not have a loss or a gain by doing or not doing the action. A Jnani acts as a Śiṣṭa Ācāra. He acts as a role model for the society. That is the essence of the sloka. We will go into the sloka. Saktah karmanya vidvamsaha. Saktaha means asakta satatam. Asakta means without attachment. Saktaha means with attachment. Saktaha means people with attachment. People with attachment. Attachment to what? Karmani. Karmani means to action. Here when we say karmani, it means both the action as well as the results of the action. So people with attachment to action or the results of the action. Avidvamsaha. Avidvamsaha means ignorant people. Vidwan means Jnani. Avidwan means Ajnani. So avidvamsaha means ignorant people. Yatha kurvanti. Yatha means just as. Kurvanti means act. So then finally Bharata. Bharata means Arjuna. O Arjuna, yatha kurvan yatha means just as. Avidvamsaha saktaha karmani kurvanti. Just as ignorant people with attachment to action act. That's the first line. Just as the ignorant people with attachment to action act, yata avidvamsah kurvanti saktaha karmani. Just as the ignorant people with attachment to action act, tatha. Now Bhagavan is giving that just as in the first line, just as an ignorant person acts. So Bhagavan is addressing the Jnani in the second line. He is advising them not to ignore actions. So in the second line, kuryad vidvams tata saktah chikirshur loka sangraham. Vidwan kuryat. There Bhagavan said avidwan, here vidwan kuryat. A wise man should act. A Jnani should act. Tata, in the same manner. Which manner? In the same manner as an Ajnani. A Jnani must also act. But is it with attachment? Bhagavan says no. Asaktah, Bhagavan says. Asaktah, without attachment. A wise man should act in the same manner but without attachment. Now, why should a wise man act without any attachment? Why should he act at all? Why should a Jnani act? Bhagavan says, Chikirshur loka sangraham. Chikirshur means, Chikir shuhu means with a desire to maintain. Kartum ichuhu. Desire to maintain what? Loka sangraham. Welfare of the society, for the upliftment of the society. So this is what it means. A wise man also should act in the same manner, but without attachment, with a desire to maintain the upliftment of the society, just as ignorant people with attachment to action act. O Arjuna, this is the purport of this sloka. So a Jnani must act in the same manner as an Ajnani but without attachment, whereas an Ajnani will act with attachment. Why should the Jnani act? The Jnani act for Loka Sangraham. Now we may get a doubt here. Not all Jnanis perform action. For example, some Jnanis like Sukha Brahma, they did not act. Why should only Jnanis like Janaka and Krishna perform action? So Shankaracharya gives the answer. He says, Prarabdha Vashat. Their Prarabdha is like that. And therefore they continue to do action. Another question could come, why does an Ajnani perform action with attachment? Because an Ajnani has not attained liberation. And not attained liberation means he is not happy with himself. An Ajnani is not happy with himself. Bondage means self-insufficiency, self-incompleteness. I don't feel that I have done what I am supposed to do. I feel incomplete. Self-dissatisfaction. I feel dissatisfied with what I am doing. These are traits of an Ajnani. These are the lakshanas of an Ajnani. I am not complete. I'm not complete until I get that particular job, that particular house, that particular fame in the society, that particular thing that I need to get before I can call myself as successful. And that will always be there. That self-insufficiency, self-incompleteness, self-dissatisfaction, not being home with oneself. That is an Ajnani's lakshana. So naturally, since an Ajnani is not happy with himself, when he does any action, through that action he wants to discover fullness. Through that action he wants to discover happiness. And therefore he performs action for happiness, for getting fulfillment, for getting contentment. All his actions are for sake of deriving satisfaction, deriving happiness out of the action, out of the results of the action. And when he is performing for getting something he badly wants, what happens? Obviously there is an anxiety also. Will I succeed? Will I be able to get it? Will I be recognized? Will there be bad name? Will there be proper reward for this? Will I get that? Will I be fine? And what will happen if I do not get that? I will be terribly disappointed. I would like to get that house. I would like to marry this person. I would like to get a child. I want the child to be male. I want the child to be female. I want to get my children married. I want to get my children in a good job. I want to have a retired life. I want to have a healthy life. I do not want to go to hospital. I do not want to fall sick. Everything we do is done out of incompleteness. And therefore there is a problem of attachment, a problem of expectation, problem of dependence. So now the question is, what should be then the correct attitude when performing these actions? Bhagavan is going to give it in the coming slokas. In the next sloka, Bhagavan is going to give another important advice to Jnanis in terms of how they have to deal with Ajnanis. This is an advice for Jnanis. Sloka number 26. Na buddhibedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktas samacharan. Na buddhibedam janayed ajnanam karma sanginam joshayet sarva karmani vidvan yuktas samacharan. So Bhagavan is giving an important advice to Jnanis. And a Jnani should not forget this advice at all. And this is another important sloka which Shankaracharya always quotes. Bhagavan advises a Jnani on what to advise an Ajnani. What should not be advised to an Ajnani. What should be told to the Ajnanis and what should not be told to the Ajnanis. That is being discussed here, or that is being given here. Now before we go there, we'll do a small vichara. In terms of people, there are 4 different types of people. Or rather, one Sampradaya Guru divides people into 4 categories. One as Pamaraha. Pamaraha means these people have priority on food and sleep. Ācāra nidra praha. They have only 2 goals in life. Food, good food. Second is good sleep. Eat, sleep. That's a life. They are also called as tamasic people. That's one set of people. Then the second set of people is Vishayinaha. Vishayinaha means people who love bhogas. They want to revel in sensory pleasures. They want to enjoy life. They want to live life grandly, they say. Work hard, play hard, they say. They want to have a variety in everything. Enjoy life. Enjoy the comforts of life. Eat different types of food. See different types of people. See different places. Earn money. Spend money. This is the majority set of people. Over 90% of these people are in this category. Then the third set is Mumukshavaha. Mumukshavaha means people who desire for moksha. This is a small minority. People like us, about 5% we can say. Then Paramahamsaha. Paramahamsaha means these are muktas. They are Jnanis. They are people who have attained moksha. This is a very minute percentage, 0.00001% of the world. Now, a Jnani will meet all these 4 types of people. Now, Bhagavan is advising a Jnani on how he will have to deal with these 4 types of people. For the category 1, which is Pamaraha, Bhagavan says, do not speak to them. Do not engage them. They want to have good food. They want to enjoy life. They don't want to come to Vedanta class. Even if they come to the Vedanta class, they will be sleeping. They are happy with food, whether it is old food, stale food, fermented food, food kept in the fridge, processed food, nothing. They enjoy those food. They enjoy sleep. Leave them. Do not engage them. They are not interested in Vedanta. Do not engage them at all. Then when it comes to category 4, Paramahamsaha, they are already Jnanis. There is no need to advise them or engage them. They can be left alone as well. Now there are two categories in between. One is category 2, Vishayinaha. How should we deal with them? Bhagavan is giving here. He says, who are Vishayinaha? People who want to enjoy their life here. Bhagavan says, do not by mistake, even by mistake, use the word Vairagya to them. Do not go around telling them, karma phala is anityam, swargalokam is anityam. Do not ask them to come to Vedanta class. Do not talk about Vedanta to them. Never. Why is Bhagavan advising this? Because once we studied Vedanta for some time, it is for us also. When we meet these kind of people, we become happy after coming to Vedanta class. We say, this is wonderful, very useful. I can see the truth. Now I want it to be useful to others also. Now I should be sharing this information with others. So we become enthusiastic and we go around trying to spread this knowledge. And we say, if we go around talking about Vedanta, and even though they may not be interested, they may be interested only in bhogas, only about enjoying life, we will try to push Vedanta. What will happen? They will have an aversion towards Vedanta. They will also have an aversion towards us. So Bhagavan is advising a Jnani, or for a person who is in Vedantic path, do not bring the topics of Vairagya or Vedanta to a Vishayi. He is saying that in as many words in this Sloka. It is an important advice. So what should we do after listening to this advice? We should not advise anyone. That is the advice that Bhagavan gives us. Bhagavan is advising us not to advise anyone, especially to Vishayinaha. So what sort of people are these Vishayinaha? They are the ones who want to accumulate wealth. They want to develop more contacts, build a network, get power, fame, money, position. They are these Vishayinas. So what should Jnani do? Advise to these people? A Jnani says, a Jnani should advise only Dharma to these people. We should not advise that desire is the cause of sorrow. We should not say that. We should say, desire well, enjoy well, but follow Dharma. Follow Dharma when yearning, follow Dharma when enjoying. Teach them on Dharma and culture. What else? What other things that we can do to Vishayinaha and other section of the society? We will see that in the next class. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om.